My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast. A podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jobs, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. Welcome back, my friend. Welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast. And today we have a conversation around chronic pain. You know, that pain which the doctors try to heal and just keeps coming. I have people in my life that have chronic pain from time to time. And sometimes you don't really know like what's happening. Like you don't really know why you're not getting fine. You don't know why you are always in pain. The doctors diagnose until you feel like something wrong. You just can't put your finger to it. If that's you, if you know a dear one, if you have a friend that is having chronic pain and you probably tried a few things and can't seem to get them freed or can't seem to really get the cause of that, today's your conversation. At the end, I'll be asking you to share it with one person that you feel needs to hear it. And so as you think, I want you to think who has chronic pain that could you use the solution that can help them get off it completely. There's having pain and there's getting painkillers for that. There's getting some relief from that. But then there is getting to the root cause of the chronic pain and uprooting whatever is causing that. And this is the discussion that we're going to have with today's expert. Today, I have Sarah in the studios with me. And today, I have Sarah. I'm super excited to bring Sarah because Sarah is the expert for that type of work. Sarah Coates is a healing facilitator for people with chronic pain. With a degree in biology, a passion for spirituality and natural healing, and 2 decades of experience as a therapist, she tackles the root cause of pain and discomfort. Sarah uses a mix of science and energy. She uses her Si-Nergy approach to help bodies create more balance and equilibrium. This way, people find that many of their symptoms just diminish or they experience greater wellness on the whole and live a life that is pain-free that everyone deserves. Sarah believes that nobody should be living with chronic pain because everyone deserves freedom and peace. And today, hopefully, we're going to dive in and kind of see how she does what she does. So, Sarah, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast. I'm really excited to be having this conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
I saw that you had talked about the relationship between the nervous system and one's level of health. Would you mind diving into that? But before we get into that, I think I want to get to your story. And before I get your story, I want you to tell people what you do, because sometimes I say so many things and that does not specify what the expert does. So in a minute or so, what do you do exactly?
Okay. I help people's bodies, as you suggested, to find more balance and equilibrium, because that is how we tackle the root cause of so many conditions. I don't treat diagnoses, I treat the body. So I have been a Bowen therapist for 20 years, and that's Bowen. It's an amazing therapy that works on specific places in our muscles and our connective tissue that communicate with our nervous system. And I have, over the past few years, developed and adapted that so that not only can I deliver it from a distance, but can really get deep. And I've kind of adapted it so that it is suitable for chronic pain sufferers, because I found previously. So if I was, for example, helping someone with chronic back pain, every now and then there'd be somebody whose body overreacted, they had a flare up, they felt worse, or it didn't make any difference at all, which was very unusual for this Bowen technique, that it didn't make any difference. And I realized that, we have to go deeper into the nervous system, which, although Bowen therapy is a holistic therapy, it does treat the whole body. We still needed to go deeper. We needed to go more gently, and also needed to address our thoughts and our fears and emotions as well, because that is what affects our nervous system. And our nervous system controls or has an influence on absolutely everything in our body. Our immune system, so inflammation, autoimmune issues, the way we feel, the tension in our muscles, joint pain, everything.
How did you get into this work? Before we even dive in, like, how did you get into this work? What's your story?
I started off in pharmaceuticals as a chemist, and didn't really, the ethos of the pharmaceutical industry didn't really match up with my own, and I thought, I know I want to really help people on a deeper level. I'm more interested in biology, went back to university, did a biology degree, then worked in hospital diagnostics, and they were making redundancies, and I thought, I really want to do something more hands-on, and I read about this Bowen technique, and I thought, that sounds interesting. It sounds really up my street. So it's natural, it's gentle, there's no forcing, there's no manipulation, and people were getting amazing results with it. So that's how I got into it. And it's just adapted and changed since then, because I'm one of these people who's always researching, always trying to find a better way.
So how many years have you been helping people with chronic illness?
Well, on and off, 20 years. But really, I suppose the journey with the more adapted techniques that I use now, probably since the first 2 long COVID patients that came to see me, which was about 3 or 4 years ago. And they both came with separate issues to do with their joints, and it made no difference. And I thought, how about if I adapted what I've been using with fibromyalgia clients and see how that goes? And then we worked on it from there, and just seemed to have really always looking to improve. But at the moment, we just seem to really have honed this technique in to just, help so many people.
So what are some of the examples of the chronic type of illnesses that you help people with?
Yes, as I said, I don't work with diagnoses. I work on the body. I work with the body. But things such as various forms of arthritis, so osteo, rheumatoid, psoriatic, any inflammation issue, because that's what arthritis is. Also autoimmune issues, things like fibromyalgia, where the nervous system isn't quite communicating as it used to, long COVID, almost anything that conventional methods don't seem to be helping with.
You said that the medical conditions are always related to one's nervous system and where it is at, or whether that's a regulation or something. What is the relationship between chronic illness and the nervous system?
The nervous system has an effect on everything, and it will influence our immune system. And when the nervous system, there's lots of parts of the nervous system. It's a really big subject, but the part that can put us into fight or flight mode, which is stress, worry, anxieties, things like that, and there's other different modes, not just fight or flight, but that's just an example. That then the body thinks that we are in danger or potential danger, and it will change the way our whole body functions, and how that affects us depends on the person. So when we can deeply calm the nervous system, that can then have an effect on pretty much everything else. Now, the issue is that a lot of calming techniques out there I call surface techniques, because they don't last very long. They absolutely help, but they don't last. And that's things like breath work, meditation, stimulating the vagus nerve, grounding, talking therapies, massages and spas. They have to be repeated and repeated. And sometimes they can even spark a flare-up. So when we calm the nervous system on a deep level, but also from many different perspectives, so we calm it from the muscle point of view to change the tension in the muscles, which can help the back and the joints, and also send signal to the rest of the peripheral nervous system, central nervous system, and the autonomic nervous system. So I'm putting these bits of jargon out there for anyone who has already done their research, because I often find that a lot of people with chronic pain have done their research. And we can just tell the body that the danger is over. It can find it can recalibrate back to its nice baseline, its true zero, instead of living at a level 5, 6, 7 all the time.
You said that people who care, people who are sensitive, are prone to having chronic illness. And when I look at my husband, he's that exact person. He's very sensitive and he cares a lot, and he has chronic illnesses. Like he has something with his pancreas, and that is chronic. But you said it really affects people who care a lot and who are very sensitive. And I was just wondering, like, how does that work? Like, tell me about that. Because I thought that was absolutely true, but like, I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, I find a lot of my clients have one thing in common, and that is that they are deep thinkers and they are deeply caring. And that then can make people worry about how they might be treating people when they don't need to worry. It might be that they're letting somebody down because they really want to help that person and they don't feel they can, or they can't help somebody one particular day, and then they worry about what that person might think of them and what the outcomes might be. They put a lot on themselves to really help others, and to worry about, it could even be the environment or the planet that they worry about. They're just deeply caring. And they're sensitive to judgment and criticism from others, and letting people down. And so that's why I do quite a lot of inclusion with mind work in the work that I do, because it is so important to dissolve these perceived problems and real worries and fears that so many people have. And that obviously affects our nervous system, because when we worry, we fear, it drives us into a bit of fight or flight or freeze, or even fawning, if anyone's heard of that. And our body then adapts as though we need to either fight or run away or do something else or hide. And that then affects hormones, immune system, inflammation, pain levels as well, because pain comes from the brain. That's another subject. Yeah, can affect the whole person. And it's not a problem. It's not a disability, being caring. It's a beautiful trait, if you want to call it that. And there's no reason to stop being caring. But we can change the way you feel about it and the effect it has on your body.
What I think is that generally caring is good until until you are caring about everybody else and not caring about yourself. Because it looks like I can understand that they're trying to care, but I think what's happening is that they are caring about everybody else, but they seem to be losing themselves in the process, which is very confusing for me because they don't seem to apply the same care to themselves. They don't seem to apply the same level of attention and compassion to themselves. They would rather go all out and die trying to help everybody else. And I'm like, but like, when does it stop being a good thing? And like I'm always thinking like, so when do you ever stop about worrying about someone else or me and worry about yourself? So I want to kind of get into the process. How does it work? If I had, for example, my husband has pancreatic chronic illness. Sometimes he's fine, he's been fine for the year. But when he gets a problem, that's an ICU straight away type of problem. So if you were to help him now, like now he's fine, he looks fine. But if you were to help uproot that and go, okay, let's get into the roots and kind of take this thing away. And sometimes you can get like joint pain, like muscle pain, like he has like different small pains. And I'm like, no, do you always have pain? What's going on? If you had to kind of help him go, I don't know, go past or, I don't know, heal these things, what would be the process you would take him through?
Yeah, so it's quite often stems from something that happened when that person was younger, or just simply the way they were brought up. And they may well have been brought up in a loving family with no real issues, but and nobody is to blame, but it could be just the way they're brought up. So quite often these people do realise that they don't care about themselves enough, that they don't think about themselves enough, but they don't know how. They read things and they say, oh, well, maybe I should do this and that, but they don't really know how to address their own issues or to notice them early enough. So I do suggest and really help people with self-compassion. There's no need to feel the guilt. There's no need to blame anybody, least of all yourself. And whatever problem they come up with, we can help dissolve that in about 20 minutes by just concentrating on how they would like to feel instead. Because their focus is always on other people, as you said. And it is really difficult for them it's just not natural for them. It's not their first instinct to go, I need this, I need that, I want this.
So then I'm kind of trying to look for like step 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, how do we get them from knowing that, I could lose my life in the process if I keep going this direction? Because they have a beautiful ability to care about another human being and not think about themselves in the process. So how do we get these human beings to kind of go, I equally need my own attention. I need my own compassion. So before trying to save my wife, I need to save myself first. How do we get them to kind of reverse however they do things, which ultimately helps them feel better or get less affected, or I don't know, like which helps maybe their nervous system, if I could say? How does the caring affect their nervous system?
How does the caring affect the nervous system?
Yeah, because you said everything that is going wrong comes from a nervous system that is in a different mode that doesn't help you. So how does this caring, how does it affect the nervous system?
Okay, so the caring can produce other emotions, things like worry, guilt, fear, and that then, so the nervous system, the brain doesn't know what is real and what is imagined. So you could be watching a movie and there's a scary scene, and you will literally recoil if you get scared, recoil, go, might even scream, Because even though that's not actually happening, you will notice your heart rate increase, your breathing increase in rate, and it will go shallow. You may get sweaty, you may go off your food, all these things. That is a nervous system response, because the nervous system is prepping you to fight or run away or hide and be quiet. So it wants you to, it will slow down your digestion, because that's the last thing that's on your mind when you're fighting for your life. It will put more blood and oxygen to your heart and your muscles, so you get more adrenaline, so that you can run away or have a fight. When that's prolonged, so that stress is actually good for us. It's good for us to have a bit of stress and come down, have a bit of stress and come down. And we can come down with breathing techniques, meditation, just taking a couple of minutes to yourself. But when that's prolonged, when you have this underlying low-level stress, the nervous system stays on high alert, or even semi-high alert. And that's not good for our health, because the digestive system is not working properly. The immune system is not working properly, because the immune system would kick in after your fight to heal your wounds. And if your body still thinks you're in a fight, some of your immune system will work, but it's not working effectively. So not only is it less able to fight off any infections or repair any damage that might be present, because we need repairing every single day. Cells are dying every day and being renewed. But it will also be unable to switch off any inflammation that is already in your body, because inflammation is a vital part of the immune response when we're healing. And that inflammation has to switch off at a certain point for the healing to finish. But if we're still in this kind of state, inflammation doesn't turn off, and chronic inflammation is probably the leading cause of almost all chronic illnesses. So that's how it affects the body. So it's crucial that if you realize that you're possibly one of these people who doesn't really think about yourself enough, or doesn't know, you do, but you don't know how to care, we really need to change, just help the way you feel about yourself, the way your emotions are kind of manifesting, by more concentrating on how you'd like to feel instead. So one example I often give is, we worry because we care, but worrying doesn't solve any problems. It just makes us feel bad.
Yep.
It doesn't help the person that you're caring about at all. So we don't want to stop the caring, but we want to stop the worry. And how we can do that is focusing on the goal instead. So that might be, I want to actually make a difference to this person's life. It might by doing X, Y, Z. It might be, I want to do better at work in my job. I care about my job. I care about my boss, or my boss's opinion of me. So how can I feel about the goal instead of the worry? So that goal might be helpful, excited. It could be any of more pleasurable emotions, and we can then flick a switch in our head, which then will affect our nervous system more permanently.
Let me recap. Let me see if I understand. I think I do, but who knows? Maybe I don't.
Yeah, sure. Please ask any questions.
So what I've understood is there is fight. Your body can be in fight mode. It can be in flight mode. It can also be in freeze mode. The problem is when you're highly sensitive, your body is highly alert. So it's like your immune system is always in those states. It's either fighting, flighting, or freezing. And what I understand is that for your body to self-heal, for your body to self-regulate, for your body to take care of you, it needs to disconnect at some point. It can't always be on the move. It can't always be on flight. It needs to calm down sometimes, switch off and switch on again. The body needs to feel safe enough to heal itself. The moment it doesn't feel safe, Absolutely. It will not. So when the body thinks, oh, I don't feel safe right now, there's this inability to self-heal. And that is how inflammation is produced. Your body is not slowing down. Your body is not stopping. Your body is constantly worrying about something, somebody. You're always in flight. I don't know if freeze, do they go in freeze mode? Yeah. So you're either fighting, you're always fright mode, or you're like freeze mode. So like you have this constant rush of emotions happening for you because there is always something to worry about. You know, sometimes I think my husband is worried about some cats. Like he'll see a cat outside and he'll be like, "Oh, poor cat, has anybody fed it?" And he will get in the fridge, and I'm like, "Dude, that cat was alive long before you came to this country." Yeah. Like he'll worry about the cat, the neighbor. I'm like, dude, like everybody existed way before you showed up. Why do you think that right now this cat depends on your ability to serve? It's like, yeah, but nobody has given it food, and I'm like, probably be fine. So they are always worried about something. And so what happens in that moment? Your body starts accumulating. It's unable to heal. And so inflammation starts being formed. And at one point, you're going to have chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is the cause of most of the clinical illnesses. Am I right up to that point? Okay. So now because you know that, what you're saying is we need a new meaning. We need a new goal. We need to show up differently and kind of decide what is the goal here. You know, like how can you position your intentions to give you that breathing space? That is where I am at. I haven't engulfed properly. When you say, I want to be helpful, I want to help this person, how can they change the way they show up? Like my husband will show up out of nowhere and he'll be like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "I am always okay." He'll go in his office and somehow he'll pop out and say, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yes." He's always somehow worried that something is wrong or something. How can they stop the worry and kind of flip more into, for me, people are fine until they tell me they're not. And so my natural thing is, I assume he's fine until he screams, until he calls me, so I'll sit here and say, "No, he's fine over there." And unless I hear him choking, I won't be bothered to go. But not that I don't care. It's like, well, he's fine. Yeah. My natural assumption is that he's fine until he's not. His natural assumption is I'm not fine until I say I am. So how can we help them to kind of help their body, if it makes sense?
Right. It does depend on the person.
Okay.
So personally, I would take them through finding out one feeling at a time, and would also work on their body for a lasting effect to really calm down their nervous system and their muscles. But there is one thing I do often say to people is that if somebody asks for help, just take a couple of seconds to just go inwards and think to yourself, how does that make me feel? Because quite often we can really care about someone and we want to help them and they ask for our help, and there's a part of us inside that says, "Oh, I'm a bit busy today." But then what comes out of our mouth is, "Yeah, sure, I'll be around later." So it's just take a moment and acknowledge how that makes you feel. Does it make me feel good? Do I have this kind of a icky feeling or a recoiling feeling or something that's pushing it away? And if there is that something, we need to learn to say, we can learn to say, I'm sorry I can't right now. Leave it at that. You don't need to give any explanation at all. Sorry I can't right now. I'll speak to you later. And that person will most likely respect you more. And if they don't, perhaps think, were they worth helping in the first place? There's always somebody else that can help. Maybe you think that they or you or both of you think there isn't because you've always been the one that's been there. So they haven't looked at other sources of help.
That's a big one, because my husband will show up when I'm in the middle of something and he'll be like, hey, do you want to take a walk? And I'll be like, nope. For me, no is like a complete sentence. And he'll be confused, like, that's the answer? And I'll be like, nope.
Yeah. Like, and you don't worry about what he must be thinking of you because you said no.
I'd be like, nope.
And then whereas he might well...
He's like, why? I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm busy right now. Like, I don't see the need to explain. But if I would say the same thing, he'll probably say, sure. But in his heart, he's thinking, damn, I wanted to finish this thing. So I don't know, like, they have to start saying, I would love to do that, but not right now, Let's do it 4 hours later. Oh, I see what you mean. Because I would just say, nope. And I will not explain. I will not say nope because in my head, no is a complex sentence. Hey, baby, nope. Like, you have those nopes. Like, what does nope mean? I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that thing. And it's like, why? I'm like, well, I'm busy right now. But like, it's not the same for him. Like, he will always, his default answer is yes. Like, his default answer is yes. And sometimes it is yes, but in compromise to something. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so learn to say no, or not right now, however that might look like to them. And what you're saying is, if they can learn to control their nervous system, if they can learn to slow down, which they like never, if they can learn to kind of say no, and that's okay, then they won't have to always be in flight, free or freeze mode, which then really helps them going backwards. So what you're saying is find ways to kind of calm things down, slow things down. Is that what you're saying, or is there another?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the whole story, but that absolutely would help. Yeah. Go a long way.
What are the other ways they can kind of start? I know, like, they just won't do it, but like, what are some of the other ways to think through how they live that could help them? I think if they can regulate their nervous system, if they can at one point stop, I don't know if it's called stop functioning. If they can at one point find it okay to just not be doing something for someone, or worrying about something, or thinking about something, or planning. I don't know. Like, for him, I think he's always doing something. Always. And I'm like, when do you ever stop? It's like, why do I have to stop? Right? He finds me sat down and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. He's like, how do you do nothing? And I'm like, because I actually do nothing. It's like, do you want to watch a movie? And I'm like, no. Like, you're doing nothing. And I'm like, yeah. Like, the work. So I can see what you mean. Like, if they can get to that state where they actually are okay doing nothing, they mate. Oh, okay. So give me other kind of ways to think through living a life as somebody who is always in free flight or freeze mode. How can you help your body not to produce more inflammation because of how you live every day? Give me some of those. If you
okay. Yeah. So it does depend, because there are some people who have absolutely no energy because of their condition, and so they don't do everything. They're not always busy, and there are people who are always trying to do something, and that could be for two reasons. It could be because that is their personality, which is affecting them and their nervous system, or it could be because their nervous system is in this kind of agitated state. I've got to always be doing something. So it really does depend. I do believe that finding certain times of the day, have a sit down and think, what times of the day am I quite good at having some energy, or quite good at feeling a bit tired and needing a rest, whether I listen to that at the moment or not. What times of the day help me do this and help me do that, and am I not good at this and not good at that? And maybe structure some kind of routine around that. So we know science has shown us that things like movement and exercise, going for a walk, being in nature, those things are very good for our nervous system. And if there are times when it's either not convenient or you don't feel like doing it, whether physically or emotionally, don't feel like doing a little bit of exercise, have a look on the schedule that you've written down as to when your most energy is, or when you feel you would like to actually relax and chill out because you feel a little bit tired. When are you less likely to be able to focus on a task? You know, there's times where the day you sit down and you're like, oh, I'm really struggling with this at the moment. That might be a time where you don't even try to focus and do a task. You sit down, do nothing. You lie down, listen to some calming music, meditate, whatever it is that floats your boat. So it's kind of structuring it around what helps you, what works for you, so that you do these things, these little self-care things.
That's interesting.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, I think that the ability to kind of say, this is my peak moment, I may as well do everything I want to do, and this is kind of not my peak moment, and I may as well be okay slowing down. And it's not a problem. It's just that it's not my peak moment, and it's okay to slow down. How else does chronic pain get worse, or why else are people not healing? Why are people having like temporary solutions? And then you say to me, we have to address the root cause. So could you take me there? Like, how else are people trying to go about these illnesses that is temporary?
Right. So the first part of your question, I think I need to answer that first. How chronic pain affects us. It can be in our muscles and joints because there is inflammation there. It's not wear and tear that causes pain. It's the muscles or the inflammation that comes in. And that inflammation should go quite quickly, you know, a few days. But if it lingers, there is a wider issue. And by addressing the nervous system from the kind of outside through the muscles, as well as inside with our thoughts and feelings, that's how we can tackle the root cause. Because the root cause really is, yes, it can also be genetics. I mean, although some genetics we can change. It's called genetic expression, gene expression. So our environment internally and externally can affect our genes and the proteins that the genes make, which will then affect our body and can trigger autoimmune issues. So it all boils down to the nervous system. But there is another thing that can spark inflammation, which is our gut health. We, you know, without going too much detail in that, we should have a good balance of good and bad bacteria in our gut. And when that is out of balance, and that can be quite often after taking medications or antibiotics or a bout of illness, the gut microbiome becomes unbalanced, which means that toxins from the gut will leak through the gut wall into the abdominal cavity, and that will trigger the immune system to cause inflammation. So, which again is affected by the nervous system as well. And we also got this gut-brain direct link connection with the vagus nerve. So gut health is important, and we get that through diet by avoiding certain things and making sure we get enough of other things. So the root causes, there's lots of what I call superficial root causes, which I know is a contradiction in terms, but the superficial root causes are things like wear and tear, inflammation, autoimmune, gut health. But the root cause is the nervous system. But we need to deal with the whole body and the body and mind connection to get a long-lasting result.
So how do I know that I am at a risk of chronic illness? What are the signs that you may be heading a very bad road right now, and if you continue going, you may encounter some problems along the way? What are some of the early signs that, you know what, your nervous system is out of order, and it may be in your best interest to take care of yourself better or to kind of revert? Like, what are the early signs that things may not be in order in my house?
Yeah. I think the first sign that people notice is aches and pains. And the aches and pains could move around the body, or they could be widespread, or they could be localized, but they linger. So instead of when we pull a muscle, we expect to feel sore for a few days, then it might feel tight for a few weeks, and hopefully with looking after ourselves, it will go completely. But these aches and pains will keep coming and going, or they will just linger. And like I say, for more than 3 months. We used to think that chronic pain was after 6 months, but it's now evident that it's actually after 3 months. Wow. Because that's when things really start to change in the body. The body tries to adapt to help us out, and that can cause other issues. So the first thing you're going to notice is strange aches and pains or feeling unwell that lasts. And there doesn't seem to be an explanation for it. So the natural route to go down is your doctor, and that is the absolute best thing you should do first. And so that they can rule out anything that is serious or urgent. Once they've done that, unfortunately, in modern medical science, apart from pain relief and maybe a few treatments here and there or some investigative work, there's very little they can do for chronic pain. So it is then taking a step back and thinking, okay, what's been happening recently in my life? How have I been feeling? How am I feeling now? And of course, the aches and pains then make us feel worse emotionally, and you get into a little bit of a vicious cycle sometimes. And just start by just doing a little bit of research into it. Just Google. Try some breathing techniques to calm yourself down. If you find that helps temporarily, or stretching, or meditating, it's making a few changes in your diet. If any of those help a little bit, then you're on the right track. And then we need to sort of delve in a bit deeper.
So feeling unwell, on and off. I'm looking for like signs. Sign 1, sign 2, sign 3, sign 4. Because I would like the listener to kind of go, maybe I need Sarah's work. And what I'm wanting to do right now is kind of say, some people may experience this, and some people may experience this, and some people may experience this. If you're experiencing that and your doctor doesn't see what's wrong with you, maybe we need to talk. And so I've written aches and pains, either on and off or just lingering around your body. I've written down feeling unwell, and like the doctors really can't explain it. Like my husband has had that. He's gone and they've taken all of the blood tests, and I'm like, what did they find? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, Are there other ways that to know that maybe this is chronic illness or chronic?
that is a sign actually, because it's good news that the doctor hasn't found anything. It's very easy for us to go, this is so frustrating, I just want to know what's wrong with me. But actually it's good news. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is something wrong with you and it just hasn't been found yet. It could absolutely mean that the nervous system, your body is imbalanced, it's just not coping well, it's overreacting, it's overwhelmed. You know, I know it sounds simple, and it actually is. It can be very, very simple. So, yeah, aches and pains that don't seem to go away, or that came on for absolutely no reason. So, sudden leg pain that when you didn't pull a muscle. Recurring illnesses. Fatigue. Feeling very, very tired, no matter how much sleep you get. And sometimes you might even have struggle walking or getting out of bed because of the fatigue. It can be that bad. And that again, body trying too hard because it wants to help you. It wants to keep you alive. Yeah.
This is so good. You have pains and aches, lingering or just on and off. You're just feeling unwell, and the doctors can't explain why. They're like, everything is fine. Everything is fine. And what do? They give you something to probably make you sleep better or whatever. But like, there is nothing. They're not saying you have an illness. Maybe it's not seen yet, but at the moment, you just don't have anything visible. You feel overwhelmed. You feel super tired. You're overreacting. You feel like I want to say sometimes you feel like you're a walking time bomb. You feel like people really like annoy you very quickly.
Yeah.
You're always tired, fatigued. I like this. So tell me about how you help people who've ruled out kind of the medical bit. You know what? The medics don't find anything. But you know what, Sarah? I have, this lingering pain. That is my problem. Or they are like, like I'm always unwell and it's not explained. Or they are like, I am tired at 10 a.m. in the morning. I overreact. Like I think sometimes I just overreact. Or I just think I have fatigue for no reason. There is no medical analysis that is showing anything. My problem is not explained. And maybe some of them actually know they have chronic illness. Like my husband knows he has chronic pancreatitis. And he knows he's been in ICU more than once. And he knows that has affected how he's showing up today, how he's feeling today. So my husband knows that he has chronic illness. He has a chronic angle incline. So all of these things would make sense to him because he's actually been diagnosed with chronic pancreatitis. And so maybe some people know that they have chronic back pain or chronic whatever. So if I was in a place where I'm either thinking, you know what, Sarah, this makes a lot of sense, or I was just like, I know, like, that is me. How do you help them? Tell me about the different ways you help people.
I always start off helping them exactly the same way. So I do distance therapy that has a deep, gentle, lasting effect on the nervous system. We just calm the body down. And quite often the very next day, people say they feel less fatigue, they feel less pain, they feel better. And then we give their body time, a couple of weeks time to adapt to these new messages that it's been given, and to calm down. And then we do some more and we can progress. And in between, we can work on any of these problems and fears and anxieties that a lot of these sensitive, caring people have deep down. Anything that crops up for them, we can go through in about 20 minutes. And quite often that clears them permanently. We need to take things slowly. So when people work with me one-to-one, it's generally 3 months of these lovely relaxing treatments. So it's all done for them, basically. They don't really need to lift a finger, but there is obviously other steps they do need to consider taking, such as diet and relaxation and exercise, all of which I can help with my background. And it's a whole holistic view. So the steps really depend on that person's recovery. So each time I see them, we go through how they've been feeling and we take it from there.
I like how you help people. As you kept talking, my mind went to retreats, my mind went to immersion experiences, my mind went to things like that, where I probably am taking a holiday and I decide for that holiday I am going to go through these experiences to calm my nervous system and kind of. I know you do anything like that, retreats, or are you still like virtual?
No.
Yeah.
No. Retreats, they're brilliant. They can be short term. We have the stress of packing, making sure our work is in order before we go. Then we go, have an amazing time. And then it's, right, got to pack, got to get home. And suddenly there you've got a backlog of work to do. So it depends on your lifestyle, obviously, and how often you can go to retreats and holidays, but they can be short term.
Oh, so you think they need more time than that? I was just thinking that, I don't know, probably that's your future thing, but I was just imagining how cool it would be to have an immersion to kind of kickstart things and then follow that up with your virtual experience. I think it'll be powerful for them. I don't know, just me dreaming really, but I think it'll be very powerful to have a week or something, immersing yourself in this piece, and you go, and now we have to keep this piece going. And now we do the Sarah virtual. I think it could be powerful. I don't know. I just think it could be powerful. If I would like to have a conversation around how you can help me, what I understand is Sarah does one-on-one. It's a 90 days experience and she does it virtually. Most of it is walking you through some stuff, but there also is work that you do on your side. But most of it is her seeing where you're at and seeing what you need. What I understand is the first very step is to calm you down, calm your nervous system down, and put you in a place where you can actually stop, where you can actually pause. When you're not always going, because if you're going, you may not even notice what's happening for you. So the first thing is like, okay, let's calm this system down. And off of that, then everything is customized based on what is happening for you, based on what is appearing for you, what is showing up for you. This is a custom experience, one-on-one, and not a group. Could you correct me there? Am I right in saying that it's a one-on-one experience?
Yes.
Yeah. So custom experiences. And Sarah, if I was thinking, I love that. I would love to kind of see if we're fit to work together. What should they do? How do you?
They can. Yeah, they can book a call with me, and it's just to talk over where they're at, what their issues are, and what they would like, and I can explain more about what I do and take it from there.
Is that free? Is that call free?
Oh yes, yeah.
Cool. So you can have a free call. You can talk to Sarah about what you may be experiencing, and if she thinks she can help you, then you can talk further about what that involves. All the links to follow Sarah, she's on social media. You can follow her to take the free call. All the links that Sarah has, how you can contact her, will be right free in the show notes. And so if you're watching this on a podcast platform, scroll through the notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, scroll through the notes. Wherever you are, there will be a way to access the venues that Sarah can get in touch with you, can help you, or just what that next step looks like to you. My biggest takeaway from Sarah's, what she's shared, is if you control your nervous system, you can solve so many other problems you didn't even know existed. But the very first step is become a master of your own nervous system. Your quality of life, health-wise, is determined by your ability to regulate your nervous system. I think this is what I've picked off. That if your nervous system is left to chance, then so will be your health. But if you're very intentional about putting in the work to learn, to understand, to practice some of these techniques to get your nervous system regulated and in order, you'll be surprised how much less you have to visit the hospital. That's what I understood from Sarah's sharing. And I am no medical person. You do not take any medical advice from me. Like, I have nothing to do with medical. But I think that's the reason I probably don't go to hospitals is because I know when to stop. I know when to slow down. I know when to run. I know when to walk. And I know when to really stop. At the end of my day, the question is, who is looking for me? If you can get out of the go, and fall into the, what do I want to do? How do I feel about that? How do I want to spend my time? What do I want to worry about versus why do I need to let go? Where do I need to put my effort versus where don't I? When do I need to say yes? When do I need to say no? When do I need to say not right now? In all love and appreciation, we can have that activity right now. That is what I picked. That if you can step down and really regulate what you pay attention to and what you don't, you'll be surprised how better your life could get health-wise. Sarah, what did I miss as we close out? What would you like the listener to go away with that we haven't touched or we haven't touched properly? Like, what are your final words of wisdom to the person listening?
Hope. Anything is possible. Don't believe the naysayers, whoever they are. There is a lot of science that is backing this work up with the nervous system. Have hope and self-compassion. And get through this.
Thank you for coming to the show, Sarah. I'm so excited we did this. I'm so happy that we did this.
Thank you for having me. It's been brilliant.
No problem. And for you who's listening, there's millions and millions of podcasts you could have been listening to. You chose to join us today. And I really hope we've helped you understand the nervous system, how it works, and what can go wrong and right. I hope that right now you have a very good idea of where you're at, or you have a very good idea of someone who needs this work. You have a very good idea of someone who is always in fight, flight, and freeze mode. Someone who is always on the go, doing. Someone who worries a little too much about everybody. Someone who has a chronic illness that just doesn't seem to go away. Someone who is always in pain. Someone who by 10 a.m., they just feel tired. They just feel fatigued. That could be a loved one, it could be a friend, it could also be somebody you know. My ask is one, share this conversation with them and let them watch this. There's a lot of people that need to discover Sarah, and you can make that happen. If each of us shared this episode with the one person we know, Sarah's message would no longer be the best kept secret message. It would be a message that is out there. So the first thing I want you to do is share this message with someone that their life depends on it. Because chronic illness is really, sometimes really sad. See somebody going through pain, in and out of hospitals. And hospitals don't even say, we can't help you. They'll always find something to give the person. And you find that someone is enslaved to the hospital all of the time. And you can make this stop. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to be involved with building a community. The world's best kept secret is a community. It is a community to bring life-changing work in the hands of people who need it. And you and I get to do that. The more you're involved, the more this community grows. What can you do to grow the community? One, subscribe or follow, depends on really the platform you're on. Two, give it a review or a rating. It goes a long way in growing the community. It goes a long way in allowing me get better guests. So the bigger the community, the bigger the game I can play, the better the guests I can bring on, the better the materials I can bring on. What I can do is endless if you participate in what we are doing here. And I am trusting you to be a part of it. If you haven't subscribed, I'm trusting you to do that. And if you haven't shared, I am trusting you to do that. But all in all, I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to this episode. And I will talk to you very soon in another episode. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.